All right. It wasn't a real, it was a longer board meeting, sort of, but not as long as the month before. And I think the piece that'll probably take up the most time today is some of the information that Matt Krull is going to share with us. He didn't do a PowerPoint presentation at the board meeting, but I did ask him to put it in a PowerPoint for all of you, because I think it's more of the follow-up information from last month where we were talking about enrollments, and someone said I looked like a weather girl doing what I did up here last month. I don't remember who told me that. I was kind of cute. So, pardon? Was it you?
I'll take credit.
Okay, Chase is owning the comment. Thank you. So just want to start out by saying one of the first things we did is we shared with the board the new workforce development brochure. They're really awesome. Marketing put them together. They really highlight all of the programs that we do with businesses. As I hope most of you know now, if you get any calls from businesses or have any businesses while you're out just as a citizen who has questions about services for businesses or how we get our students connected to them, Lucretia is now up in career services. She's sitting up next door to Nancy Parch. They've become neighbors doing things together. So, and Lucretia's contact information is on the back of this. So it's just a really, again, a great handy dandy. It talks about how we work with our K-12s, our internship program, College Central, is that what it's called? College Central, the online format. And it seems like right now in this job market with low unemployment, employers are really, really looking for resources and people, resources as employees. So I apologize. I took Betty's advice. Betty's not here yet. I took Betty's advice and went and got a flu shot, and then I had a reaction. Oh, there you are. So I had to take some Benadryl, and so now I'm feeling a little, so I apologize in advance. But I wasn't going to get the flu again, so we're all good. But if I say something crazy, just wave and I'll fix it. So just kind of quickly, and that's why I'm going to stand by the podium, behind the podium today too, because I'll just keep my stuff here. It's not funny. I can hear the laughs. Okay. Graduation, you all know graduation is December 16th. We shared the information with the board. It's going to be at 10 o'clock. It'll be about an hour. We'll be out of here. We're going to hope for good weather. An email went out to faculty asking for those who are going to participate in graduation. So we're rolling along. Thank you to those folks who volunteer. We know lots of you in this room volunteer to make graduation successful, and it's a really good thing. So looking forward to that. It's always our celebration at the end. The next thing I just wanted to share with you is the dashboard, and I don't know how many of you go out and look at the board packet, but the dashboard is now in there. Matt Krull is updating it every month. And this month, he switched the applications, the new applications and the transition to enrollment information to spring. I called him and asked him about it because I wasn't sure what was going on, and I totally missed it until Joanne pointed out to me that we are up significantly in applications for spring over last year, which is a really good thing because we didn't have such a hot spring last year. So we're actually right now up 21% in applications. So I had a conversation with Missy this week, and I told her now it's her job to get those applications to enroll. So she is on it. She said she's going to put a sign on top of her car that says, "Ask me about Kish," with blinking lights. So dare we say, could this be good news? But we're going to take it for now. I know earlier this year our apps for fall looked really good too, and then it kind of took a turn. But I don't think our dates were as lined up earlier last year as they are now. Now we have a really good process, and we're tracking the data better. So we're going to hope that we continue to go up. Some not such good news is that our FTEs, our full-time equivalents, our credit count is down even more than our 10-day. We're down now about 10.1, 10.2. So it's not great, but we're still optimistic that this spring maybe is when we can turn the ship around and start to get more students enrolled. We're also going to start some pretty significant retention campaigns and really helping students understand and appreciate the value of coming to Kish and staying at Kish to get your degree. I even read an interesting article recently talking about the national student debt crisis and how college is not worth it, the debt is not worth it if you don't get a credential, if you don't finish. So we really need to get the word out, and I know Michelle and Katie and And Joanne and their teams are all working really to get this retention messaging. And I think you're going to see some things. Joanne and I have been talking about some strategies to really support the initiatives in student services and marketing in retention, and getting some faculty lead to really help us also from the faculty perspective to really work on those retention initiatives. So you'll probably be hearing about that in the next few weeks. We'll get that organized and get that rolled out. It's more work, folks, when you're down in enrollment than you're up, right? I mean, we're all feeling that. It's been, this year has been a surprise. I'll just say it. It was a surprise that we were down as much as we were, but I think I'm really appreciative of the hard work that everybody's doing, and I know people are working really hard all over this campus to turn that around and try to keep our students and get new students. So head count, we're down about 18% in returning students, but we're actually up 1% in new students. So our recruitment stuff is going okay. It's we would like that a little stronger, and we're going to continue to work on that. We're going to watch for Missy driving around town with her light on her car. But in the meantime, truly our issue is our retention and keeping our students here. So looking forward to developing some more initiatives related to that and roll that out with the registration process, which starts November 6th. So we've got a few weeks, about 3 weeks. So very good. We're going to keep at it. Already talked about commencement. There was another piece of information that was discussed at the board meeting. It was not in the packet, but anybody who's interested should just contact Joanne. She's the one who put it together. I think program folks all know that we do this. The instructional folks know that we put together program historical analysis every year of the costs of programs and the revenue generated by programs. And the really good news is this year we still have 9 programs that are in the red, but when we start to factor in the differential tuition using enrollment figures from last year, because that's really what we have, there's only 4 programs anymore that are in the red. So it's a really good sign that we're making some adjustments to make it cost effective and fair for students. So we'll continue to work on those. I want to reinforce what I said to the board, and I'm going to say it again. This is not used to cut programs. This is used to make programs more cost effective. Programs get cut, suspended for reasons other than financial for the most part. But this is not the tool we would say, oh, there's 4 that are still in the red. Well, we're going to start talking about cutting those programs. Absolutely not, or suspending those programs. Programs are suspended based on so many factors, and probably the biggest one is student demand. You've got to have students to teach. So that is the biggest factor in that. And then we also have to look at our employers hiring the graduates, because for ICCB, for a lot of reasons, for our Perkins, we have to have outcomes in program areas. So it's really important that we monitor that, but oftentimes even in that area, if employers aren't hiring our students, sometimes it can be tweaks to our curriculum or other factors that can make our graduates more marketable. Or we can combine programs, or we can do core and then have that's another thing we're talking about right now, having core courses for a few programs, and then you could pick a track. That's an initiative that's probably going to be started soon to really help students when they're not sure, they get their core courses out of the way. That also makes programs more viable. So it's not, again, I want to reinforce, because I've been hearing that the people are worried that we're closing programs. We're not closing programs based on the cost of the program, period. That's just not what we're doing. So again, like I said, check with Joanne if you want more information on that. We do have it available. The next thing that we're going to talk about then is I'm going to take a little step away. Actually, Matt, I think I'll talk about the tiered scholarship, and then I'll have you come up and do all the data. This month I didn't do the weather girl thing at the board meeting. I let Matt do it, and Matt today actually he didn't have a PowerPoint, but he put it in a PowerPoint so he can. Do you have you have the laser. Super cool. All right. So one of the things that the board has expressed interest in is us looking at additional scholarships for the students who graduate from our local high schools. So currently, to refresh everyone's knowledge base, we offer $1,000 a semester for 4 semesters for students who graduate from one of our 9, we have 8 public, 1 private local high schools. If they graduate from that high school and enroll at Kish the following fall, they're eligible for $1,000 a semester for 4 semesters. They have to apply for it. There's a process, but we don't deny. If they meet the criteria, they get the scholarship. One of the things we are going to look at is making sure they continue to be successful students, and that'll be a component we add next year. And we stumbled on that as we were talking about the next tier. So what the board has said, hey, that's great to have the top 25% of the graduating classes locally get scholarships, but what about the next group? What about the next group of students that are still in the top 50% of their class, but they're not in the top 25? Do we want to attract those students to Kish, and do we want to reward, again, local students who come to us? So we discussed it at the board meeting this month, and the board is requesting that we do a $500 scholarship per semester, valid for 4 semesters. So the top 25% would get $1,000 a semester, and the next tier would get $500 a semester. We're not going to call it a tiered scholarship when we actually roll it out, but for now, for ease, we're just calling it Tier 1, Tier 2. There are other colleges that have similar models. Cindy went out on the website and she pulled the stuff from Elgin. They do something, so I think we'll just steal some of their language. It looks really cool how they did it. So we'll put this together, and then it'll go to the board meeting in November for a vote. So again, I want to reinforce that this is a board-driven initiative. I think it's great. I think when we talked about it, we do feel like this will be a good thing to help recruit more students who maybe are on the fence to come. And also because criteria for both of the scholarships will be to be enrolled in 12 credits, it might help some of those students who are going part-time to go full-time. So our break-even point for this is we're going to need about 27, 28 new students to pay for the Tier 2, or we could find more credits. The total sum cost, based on our estimates right now, is about $100,000 for us to do this initiative. I don't know if any of you saw the article on the Student Success Scholarship that was in the Chronicle. I want to make sure I say the right one. Yesterday, my email address was ntc.edu, so I've got to make sure I'm saying the right thing here. The Chronicle, we had the Herald up there, so sometimes I say the Herald. Do I get 2 years? After January, I promise, no more reference to the old school. But they ran an article on the Student Success Scholarship. The ICCTA, the Trustees Association, does a statewide news feed. They picked up on it and spread it statewide yesterday. So lots of people at lots of colleges are seeing the great work that we're doing and how we're supporting our the students who are successful. That one is a pilot. We're doing it for this year, and it'll really depend on the success of it, whether we decide to do it again next year. We'll analyze the data of students and see if our retention rate went up at all. And if it did, we probably can support some of it with this. And we can extrapolate the data from, because we have a higher percent of in-district students this year because of our enrollments being down. It's really primarily our out-of-district students. So you would say, well, shoot, we remember from the data last month, persistence is higher for local students. We think it's for a variety of reasons. They live at home, they have a support network, they have friends close by to really support them through school. But we can factor that in and look at how the Student Success Scholarship, if it works for all students, because if our retention naturally should go up this year because we have less out-of-district students. So we'll see, we'll make sure that it's working. Does anybody have any questions at this point on this scholarship? Or have some thoughts or suggestions? Again, it's just been a brainstorming for a few weeks. The board has mentioned it. I knew it was serious when I saw Bob Johnson on a Friday and he mentioned it at a meeting. I saw him on Monday at a meeting and he mentioned it. And then he mentioned it at a board meeting. I knew they were serious. They want this scholarship. So yes, Bernie, do you want to step up? Would you mind stepping up? Thank you. It's part of the wellness plan.
Is that an early wellness plan? I thought golf was a wellness plan.
Pardon?
Playing golf is a wellness plan.
Well, it's getting a little cold and it's wet.
Come on. Golf cart gets past it all. Anyways, what's the pool of students that would be potential Tier 1 and Tier 2, the total pool?
This year we have 48 students who are receiving the Tier 1 scholarship.
Talking about for next year.
Yeah, the potential pool is probably bigger than those who apply for it. And again, they'll have to apply. They'll be automatically awarded. They'll have to apply. I think we said a third. We just took a third of our local graduates and said probably a third of our students are in the top half of their class. So it's a really, this is going to be a shot in the dark the first year.
Oh, so we don't have a number like it's 250 kids or 300?
No, because part of the reason is we don't gather class rank for all of our students. We do request it for the purpose of the academic excellence for Tier 1. So for Tier 1, we could tell you, but we can't tell you for Tier 2 because it's based, so that's why we're not sure we're gonna stick with the class rank. We have to analyze the data. Grade point average might be a better measure for us, but then we'll have to look at, okay, of the Tier 1 scholarships this year, what was the grade point average like cutoff? And then, so what would we think? If we're shooting for a third, is it a 3.0 and above? Is it a 3.2 and above? We'll know that soon, because I know for those of you who are out, we need to start marketing this very soon.
So how many seniors do we have in the whole district?
We graduated last year, 1,200 students in the whole district. Oh, and we got 371 of the 1,200.
All right, thank you.
Numbers are us. Okay, so with that, speaking of, that's a great segue. Speaking of Mr. Number at Kishwaukee College, Matt will now come up and walk us through a lot of very interesting data about our relationship with NIU. Was that a groan? That was a really loud groan. You're fine.
All right, you'll understand if I don't think it's cute if you think I look like a weather girl, Chase. All right, see, I figured it out, RJ. You didn't have to come up. Okay. Well, I'm not as aesthetic looking, and I can take that. Anywho. I won't take up too much time. I think I had this down to 6 minutes, 30 seconds Thursday night. Let's try and see if we can break that record. But this question gets brought up a lot about NIU and our relationship with them. How much do they impact us? How much do we impact them? Just in a sheer sense of students and exchange and dual enrollment. So Lori and I sat down and we spent a pretty significant amount of time recombing over this data to get to a point where we're happy with what's being presented. So with all that being said, I'll just bust right into the report. If anyone wants the actual PDF, just let me know. I'll send it, but I know there's a lot of paper ones out there. So in FY17, so that's summer 16 to spring 17, of all credit students served, which was a total of 5,405 students, that includes dual credit and adult ed, how many of them had some form of relationship with NIU, our fellow neighbor just 6 miles down the street? As you can see, 89% had none, no form of affiliation. 3.2% or 175 were KCMA enrollees only. For those of you who don't recall, KCMA are the developmental math classes that we teach on NIU's campus. They don't set foot on our campus in any other way. Our instructors do teach them, but that's the extent of it. The next is this dual enrollee, and I have to stress that a true dual enrollee is someone who is actively enrolled with NIU. In the same term, they are actively enrolled with us, and that's, you know, we've heard misconceptions. Sometimes people thought that number would be like 15, 20, 25% of our population. It's never been proportionately a giant number. It used to be higher. It used to be, you know, maybe in the 250, pushing 300-ish, but it accounts for 3.6% of our student enrollment in 17. Transfer students. So this is the student who was with NIU at one point, brought credits from there to us in FY17. That was 60 new students that we had in FY17, 1.1%, and we had 146, 2.7%, who were continuing students from FY15, 16, and prior who brought credits in, and were of that population. So that's just piling it all together in a year, about 1 out of 10. It was slightly higher in the past, but the proportions have maintained fairly closely. Okay, now, so that's how NIU impacts us. How about how we impact NIU, kind of going in the other direction? So if you look at fall 16 and spring 17, get rid of summer, single term enrollees, muddle up transfer on analyses, trust me. So if you just look at the rows here, so in fall of 16, spring of 17, the number of students, 373, who did not complete any sort of credential with us, what happened to them? Well, 44% of them, one of the biggest populations, are back here with us today. And that's good. That's the number we want to try and drive up, obviously. 4%, but still 123 of them went on to NIU this fall, no longer with us. 229 went on elsewhere. And then 44.4% had no record matchup or didn't continue, majority obviously not continuing any form of enrollment. And that's the target population that we've talked about for persistence metrics of wanting to figure out how to get more of them back here. How about just transfer alumni? 15% stay right here happily with us, mostly enrolling in a nursing program. We know from self-report transfer survey that's pretty close, about 12% on there for that, 15 here. 28.6% go on to NIU, which I know is a large disparity from some of the other numbers you've heard about who go on to NIU, and we'll talk about that in just a second. 20.2% transferred on to somewhere else, and then 36% didn't go anywhere, and that number's a little higher than the self-report, but even on that, it's in the low 20s. Kind of a misconception that we've talked about sometimes is thinking that transfer grads always immediately go on. Not really the case. In fact, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4, even a little higher, don't go on immediately to any sort of institution. So, not to say they won't eventually. Technical grads, that population, about a fifth of them are still here with us today. Itty bitty amount went on to NIU, 10% transferred elsewhere, and about 2 out of 3 have no record. Often you would expect they're hopefully working in their field. And so that's this overall story with that. Now, you'll see this little bullet down here, the percent of transfer grads who transferred went on to NIU, that being 58%. So that's taking away those who stick with us and taking away those who have no record and didn't go on elsewhere. So of the people who do go on to NIU, just a shy over half who go on to NIU. Okay, number 3, local versus non-local served, a very popular topic amongst the board. And when I say local versus non-local, I'm talking about the high school they came from. We have 8 local high schools here if you include Oregon, and then everybody else. So what we wanted to do is figure out, okay, how similar are we to community colleges like us? And when I say like us, mean have a university in their district. How much does that impact their local versus non-local served? And as you can see, we're all pretty much riding right around the mid to high 60s point, with a couple of exceptions. Lewis and Clark there, 78% local. When I looked it up on MapQuest, they're 23 miles from SIU Edwardsville campus, which I'm guessing is a bit of the impact. And Spoon River, which is also, I think, holding the record as the tiniest community college in Illinois, is the most non-local. Talking with their analyst, and anyone who's been to Macomb or went to Western knows, Spoon has a campus right on Western's campus, right there. So certainly an impact. Anyway, just a few subnotes. Our numbers that I did in this don't include KCMA, and the other one is I'm saying 66.1% for local served here. A bit of a different straying figure from that 48% you may remember, and Laura and I definitely need to explain why. When I got these data from ICCB, these are 2016 graduates entering their local community college in FY17 only. So it takes out the unknowns, and it takes out older non-traditional students who are much more often to be out of district high schools because they're people like us who may not have grown up around here but are returning to college post 24. So any questions on that? Does that all make sense? As a quick subnote, Lori asked me to quick pull up what about grab at least a couple of schools who don't have universities in their backyard. So I'd had time to pull together McHenry and Sauk, 79 and 80% respectively. So to all of us, it does have an impact. It's just nice to know exactly how much. No questions? Good. All right, last piece. Fall 11 versus Fall 17. Fall 11 was our high water mark at this college's entire time in existence. 17, quite a bit lower. Looking at this high school of origin story again, first time full-time students walking in here in fall of 11. 21.8% of them were from Chicago, not Chicagoland area. I'm talking specifically the city of Chicago. Today, that is 7.2%, so a third of what it once was in proportion. GED completers have fallen down a little bit as of GED completers here who we can no longer transition because that raw number is not what it once was. Homeschooled has grown, just kind of everybody else has fallen, part of the reason. Local, as you can see, has gone up 22% in proportion. All other out of district has fallen about 6%, and that was pretty proportional from our eastern, northern, southern, and western neighboring areas, so it was a proportional shrink. And out of state's fallen slightly, and our unknown's fallen slightly. So the main story obviously being the fall down of the Chicagoland area proportion, but also the all other has been a pretty heavy impact to the institution as well. So, yes? Sure. Okay, yeah. So for just another fun factoid, you guys, get your stakes out, figure out what you want to bet. What proportion of our transfer alumni go out of Illinois? The answer is 13%. Yep, 13%. So just north of 1 out of 10. But it was kind of fun. We wanted to know what university outside of Illinois is the most heavily trafficked by our transfer alumni. I'm hearing Iowa. That was the same one last night, or Tuesday. Everyone guesses Iowa. Think geography.
Yeah, Lori, say it. You got it.
University of Wisconsin. Yep. And it's all. Yep. It's about 13% go out of state, and just a bit north of a third of them, that out of state institution is the University of Wisconsin. Madison, Plattwater, Whitewater, all of them. Yeah, they're all over the place. So yeah. And then the other piece was, for this all other out of district, if you want a geographic idea of what proportion, it's kind of a 60-20-20, with that being 60% of them are to the east. So you kind of start around Maple Park, which is technically out of district in Kane County for us, riding right up to the Chicago area. That's where 60% of our out of districts come from, and it's a lot. About 20% is our northern friend, heavily Rockford and McHenry. We pull quite a bit from, a lot more than people sometimes think, from Marengo and Crystal Lake and stuff, but Rockford was a huge stream provider, especially in our career technical programs back in the day. Still there, but not what it once was. And then if you kind of aggregate everybody to the west and south, this whole area, that's about another 20%, but they've all proportionally shrunk the same as far as them coming here today. It's not like it's all the east, it's everybody.
Thank you. So when we saw the 66% this month versus the 48% we talked about last month, I guess that gives me a little bit of hope, because that's like 2/3 of our student population that we still can impact and get those recent high school grads in here. So I felt like we had a little more control, and then seeing that the retention head count, that certainly is something we can work on. So like I said, you'll see more activities related to that associated with registration and moving forward. One other thing I wanted to mention, going back to the Student Success Scholarship, we did I think most of you probably know that we did vouchers to the food service for students, and Katie reported that 700 students took advantage of that. So we'll be doing another one of those events near registration, and so to again encourage the students to stay on campus. I think if we keep them here eating, maybe we keep them here doing other things, and so we'll do that. And the bookstore's been busy this week. Is Jessica in here? No? Yes. Right in front of my nose. Hi, Jessica. The bookstore's been busy. We're doing 50% off Kish gear this week to get students to have more stuff. And I shared with Cabinet this morning, I'm really hoping before the holidays Kish gear is in our retail stores. We are trying. Katie's going to take a little bit of her day off tomorrow and actually personally go visit some of these store managers. We're having a hard time. We've been working on it since school started. Because when I took my son school shopping and we saw all the Sycamore, DeKalb, and NIU gear, he said, "Where's the Kish gear?" And when he had dressed like a college student day at school, he was the only one in Kish gear. And I said to him, well, students can't find it. They can buy NIU. He said, everyone's in NIU. I said, well, yeah, because you can buy NIU stuff everywhere, but you can't find Kish stuff. But then I did assure him that about a third of his graduating class will be coming here. So when he decides to come to Kish someday, he will not be alone. He will have other classmates that decide to come here. I just want to wrap up the discussion about NIU, and this happened yesterday, the morning after the board meeting. Lisa Freeman and I had our first breakfast. I used to do it with Doug Baker on a fairly regular basis, and she and I got together for the first time yesterday morning, and it was a great conversation. Lisa really wants to do some things that are different and unique in partnership and really supporting local students and local communities. So emailed her the notes last night, made sure I was on the right page. She emailed me back first thing this morning. We've got Joanne and Michelle are going to meet with a couple of the leaders at NIU to start to craft out some concepts. So I'm really excited about working with them. And I shared all of this data that we gave to the board and the graph from last month, how our enrollments were the same. I gave her those and said, here's our relationship with you. I said, you can see how much you impact us. And I shared that at the full faculty when we were talking about meeting, we were talking about what can we do. And I said, Lisa, the best thing we can do for Kish is help you. And you be strong and we'll be strong. And even in this partnership program that we're talking about, and I said, and after we get it set up with us, we should talk to Waubonsie, we should talk to Elgin, we should talk to, they have about 8 colleges that are truly their feeder colleges. I said, we should get them included too, because that will make Northern even stronger, and that's what we need for Kish to be strong. We need to get we need to help Northern be strong as well. So we are partners in moving things forward. So I'm looking forward to working with her and moving all of those initiatives forward. So Kevin always has lots of stuff on the agenda, overseeing finance. I mean, that's the biggest role of the board, is to approve expenses and the way we're spending our money. And we approved the PHS project to replace a west boiler. It's by the library. I'm going to give it to you in my terms, not the technical terms, because I don't know the technical terms, but it's really the infrastructure of what does heating in the central part of the building. And so it's about 48 years old, and it's been on the PHS project list for a while. That money is levied separately from operational money. So I know it was in the paper too, the 1.1 million that we're going to levy for PHS projects, but that is separate from our operational budget. And it's money that we've been able to get for forever. Has it always been something that we could? Oh, we've only levied for it since 2012. Well, I guess it's new money for us then. So that's a good thing. Senior leadership spent 5, some of us even longer, hours yesterday with the architects going over the preliminary step of the blueprint and how our facilities, developing a plan for how to get our facilities in good shape for our students. It was really good conversation. I asked how long I'm going to have to work here to see it all to fruition. But it's going to take us a while. But there's some really great ideas, I think, that are going to come from it. And it's really, again, I'm going to emphasize this, it's focused on our students and how we help make our learning spaces and study spaces. And even by improving our spaces, we sometimes improve our services. So I think it's all going to be a good thing. So those are some of the things that we talked about. The student, Phil Oliver, who is our student trustee this year, is doing a really excellent job with his report. Oh boy, I think I'm missing something. Okay, I forgot something pretty important up in my office, but I'll wing it. But Phil's doing a really good job of putting together his report for the board and reporting out to the board, and there are tons and tons and tons of activities going on with our students. And I just commend Michelle, Scott, Allison, all of the people who are involved in helping make student activities successful this year. And it looks like you're doing a really good job. And so I thank you for that. So what I forgot to bring down, or I don't have with me, never mind, I found it in my pile, is the president's report. And why this is important is because I want to read the highlights. So Matt Fairborn, the Dean of Career Technologies. Matt, are you in here? He sent you guys. Okay. Yeah, Shelley, you said you usually watch it on the tape, and here you are today. Glad you're here. Matt Fairborn, Dean of Career Technologies, was invited by the German-American Chamber to speak as a panelist on overcoming the workforce crisis through dual apprenticeship programs. That's on October 17th at the Union League Club in Chicago. So that's pretty exciting that we're a part of that. Matt did do a presentation to the board on Tuesday night, a brief presentation on just what is an apprenticeship program, registered and non-registered, and how are we participating as a college. They're getting a lot of buzz right now in the media, apprenticeship programs, and just wanted to demonstrate to the board that we are part of those initiatives. Heather Heilman received her Certified Healthcare Simulator Educator certification. It's a really tough exam, but she did great, and we're excited to have a person on our campus with that accredited recognition or certification. The nursing program had their accreditation. They had their their site visit from September 26th to the 28th. I'm sure many of you in here knew about it, were a part of it, helped make it happen, sat in, talked to the accreditors. It was well-run. The final report was very positive. Couple of minor tweaks, but it's looking really good for us. And a reminder, I know we talked about this last month, but it takes about 5 years to pull this all together, to get your curriculum in order, to get your reporting in order, your documents, all of the information they're asking for. Lots of people have done a ton of work to get this to this point. We'll find out in the spring. Our official will get in the spring, and I just want to commend again Betty Chilton for all of the leadership she has provided. Lots of people worked, no doubt, lots of hands did the heavy lifting, but it definitely takes a leader, and Betty did a great job with that. And speaking of Betty, I hope many of you heard that Betty was nominated for the DeKalb Chamber Athena Award. And that ceremony is coming up on October 24th, or is it the 26th? It's one of those days. She is a finalist, and we are wishing Betty well. A bunch of us will be there to cheer her on. And we're very proud and pleased with Betty's work here at the college. We're very lucky to have her. Other than that, I've become part of, more active part of the Northwest Illinois Presidents Group. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago. I went up to Rock Valley, and 4 of the 5 presidents who comprise this Northwest Illinois group got together, and we're really going to start focusing on how we show collaborative work for workforce development. So when prospective businesses come into our area for Project MIT, which I think we've talked about a few times, I'm sure most people have heard about it, the car manufacturer that's looking at Northern Illinois, none of us will be able to produce the workforce alone. We're going to have to do it jointly. So we're going to try to be proactive and come out ahead and demonstrate to folks how we're working together to develop the local workforce and have workers ready for industry. So that's a pretty exciting work. It's rather innovative. From what I can tell, I don't know that there's any other groups that are doing specifically related to workforce. So I'll keep you updated as far as how that goes. But so far, we're going to meet monthly, going to get the vice presidents for instruction involved to really help us look at how we partner and how we work together. Been doing a lot of feedback sessions, so honestly, if you get a whole bunch of changes, or if you're feeling like people are coming and telling you to do this different or do that different, you're only going to have to look around and blame each other, because these are not my ideas. When I go to the listening sessions and we get ideas about things that aren't working, then the senior leadership team either gets a verbal or an email from me, and they make it happen. So it's very exciting to see people are really just embracing that. And again, yes, it's coming from the top, but I don't know enough about still what goes on at Kish to be able to say, we need to do this different or this different. It's things I hear. And people are bringing it to me because they don't think it's working either. So then we go back and we go, okay, we gotta fix it. So, and I've done a lot of listening sessions in the last couple of weeks. I still haven't gotten to the students yet, but those are coming yet this month. I think I've got 2 groups of students that I'm going to be doing a lunch with and a meeting with. So again, I do appreciate all the feedback. You're all on a journey of continuous improvement all the time, and so continue to do that. We want to continue to make this a great place for our students. Getting out to businesses, I've been able to do a little bit more of that. We went to Americold last week and did some work with them. A new partner, they're doing a big expansion in Rochelle. They're adding another huge facility that'll employ another 60 people. They need some technicians, and they've never worked with Kishwaukee College before. So we're excited that we're forging this partnership, and we're going to be starting to work together. And so good things happening all around. I want to mention staffing things, because those always go. And again, I apologize ahead of time. I'm good with numbers, but not so good with names. So Emily Bearreiter, did I say that right, or did I kill it? Bearreiter? She is a library clerk who is new to our college, so we welcome her. We also had Sonia Reesing is now joining administration. She's going from professional staff to administration. We're kind of doing this in advance of a departure that's going to be coming next year. We want to make sure that Michelle has some folks behind her as administrators who can take her place when she is off campus, which she found last week was a good thing because she was in Florida, but she got a lot of calls and a lot of texts. So Sonia, welcome to Cabinet, welcome to being an administrator, and we're glad to be working with you. We're glad you're at Kish. So congratulations to you. Denise Fry, Denise is taking on, I think I saw Denise come in, didn't I? There you are, way over in the corner. Denise and I were at she can verify, I really did get a shot. Did you have a reaction? No reaction. Good for you. Denise is going into kind of Kim Jordal's position as Kim moved over to ACSS. Denise is taking over helping process applications. Very important job. Got to keep them cranking, keep them coming in the door. And Shelley Lawson. Shelley is going to be vacating her position in CT, and she's going to go up to Student Services and work with our new Upward Bound project. So I just want to say congratulations to you three on your new positions. And then just a couple of people who are separating from us. Laura Shavini, her retirement, she is going to be retiring, and she is leaving, I think in April. It's not on here, but I think it's April. So, oh yep, nope, May 1st, 2018, so May 1st. So probably April 30th will be her last day. John Desjardins is leaving effective May 31st. He is assistant professor of English, and we wish him well. Nancy Parch. Nancy's been a part of, where are you, Nancy? I know I've seen you a few times today. There you are, way in the back. Nancy has been a part of this college and such a integral part of so many things that happen for a number of years. But Nancy told me this week she's from a family of young retirers. And so she is going to keep up the family tradition. But we are definitely going to, in fact, I just heard about something else you do today. So we're going to keep working at how we capture all the things Nancy does. But again, wish you well. Doug Gay has announced his retirement as of December 29th of this year. And Neil Sidebottom, I think we talked about that last month. He's gone to Madison, took a new position up there. And Tasha Bradford has also resigned, and she's leaving on September 20th. Oh, she's already gone. She left on, I'm like, it's October. She left on September 20th. So those are the employee changes, status changes. So, I'm sorry, did I miss something? No. Okay, she's leaving October 20th. Little mistype. Sorry. It's okay. All right. Oh, you just saw her yesterday? You're like, what? She's gone? Okay, so Cindy's doing dual duty, as I think most of you know, so we're going to forgive her for September, October. We're not going to get too. Michelle's learning great. She celebrated her 1-month anniversary yesterday, so she's been here a month. I keep saying to her, is it making sense at all yet? And she's like, yep. And I can feel it. I can feel where it's getting a little bit easier for me, too. So if you haven't been up and you want to see the space that's being created for her, it's going to be awesome. She's going to be right outside my office, and I can't wait. I think it'll be wonderful to have her really close to me. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you folks so that we can capitalize on the increase in enrollments and share some more good news. Did I forget something, Kevin?
No, it's just I just wanted to talk about is this on? Do
you want to come up here?
Yeah, why?
Come up here.
I just wanted to mention that one of the things that we do, we talked a lot about feedback. Lori's been talking to various groups, probably you've been in one of those. But another thing that we do to get feedback is we do employee surveys. And so what we're going to do starting Monday is you're going to get a letter, an email from Matt Kroll on the Noah Levitt's employee satisfaction survey. And so it's about I think it's around 40 questions or so. We have some custom questions in there. So I'd really encourage you, when you get that email, to take the time sometime next week to get that filled out. It really is an important input into what we do here. And so We've done these in the past, we're doing them now, we'll do them in the future as well, and it's kind of good to see some longitudinal data on that. So I just encourage you, when you get that email from Matt, that's what it's about. And so if you could do that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Just wanted to let everybody know that the board voted Tuesday night to not increase insurance premiums for health insurance. So the plans will be the same. Yay. We'll be doing open enrollment between the 1st and the 15th, and we'll get you some more information before then, but we just wanted to let you know that. November.
Thank you, sorry. Anybody else have forgotten?
I'm going to turn this around since we're talking with my back to everybody. So one of my ideas for a program I tried to do this with the diversity committee last year, but is to get people to focus. I think we focus a lot on how we're different from each other, but to focus on how we're similar and how we can connect. So we have a program coming in Monday, November 13th. It's going to be a Thanksgiving dinner from 1 to 2. It's going to be registration that will be up within the next couple of days. And then we have Greg Forbes coming in to talk about how important it is for us to sit down and connect with one another and really focus on our similarities rather than our differences. So a nice holiday reminder for Thanksgiving coming up in the next couple weeks after that. Also, to wrap up Hispanic Heritage Month, we have 3 dance troupes coming to campus at 6:30 this evening. We have taquitos and chips and salsa. It's free food. If you're anything like the college students that I know, hopefully a few of you will come. It'll be right over here in the conference center dining room. Oh, and the program is open for the November 13th event. It is open to faculty, staff, and students. So I really want us to all connect and come together as a community as opposed to just our students. I think it's important for us to all come together and bring that sense of community for us. Dinner will start at 1 o'clock, or the Thanksgiving meal will start at 1 o'clock, and then we'll do pie and coffee with Greg at 2 o'clock in the student lounge. Monday, November 13th. 6:30.
So a couple of weeks ago, I sent a email out to kind of update people on some of the projects, because I'm sure you've seen crews working in various parts of campus, and you're wondering what's going on. And so in an effort to do that, I sent that out, and I can follow that up a little bit here with some updates. One of the things you probably would notice today, if you're in the cafeteria area, is they're doing some work on the lighting in that cafeteria, and that is to add some dimmer switches onto the lights, and they're also adding a few recessed lights to increase. There are times when there are events in there where there isn't enough light from those, and so they're adding a few and then putting dimmer switches on everything, which will be good for the different events that we have in there. One of them is the Foundation Gala, which if you went last year, it was really nice, but it was a little bright. It was a little bright. So this will allow them to turn it down and create a little bit more of ambiance. The other thing will be they're going to put some lights in from the student area. You know, that area between the back of the library and where the kaleidoscope is? There's the stairs that lead up to somewhere where the IT folks are. And there's some seating area underneath there that students, if you go that way, they're always there. It's kind of a nice, neat area. It's a little dark though, and so we're going to install some lighting, so you'll probably see some work on that. If they weren't there today, then they'll be there. You'll see them there next week. And then you all know what's happening in the fire pit areas. There's a lot going on there. On the one side, on the A1200 is done. We're just ordering the furniture was a little bit more complicated than we thought it was going to be. So, but I think we're in a good place now. And so hopefully, next few weeks we'll start seeing some furniture in there. And then they're going to start working on the other side as well. They're going to take out some space behind where the pop machines were. There was some storage space with some oddly designed wooden, so I'm going to take all that out, and it'll look a lot cleaner. One of the things about the fire pit is we're going to do the fireplaces. So the fireplaces, one of them has a ruptured line underneath the building that can't be fixed. They're really very inefficient. They don't have flues on them, so that hot air goes right up. And then there's, if you've been out that way during when we get snow or when it rains, you see the buckets out. It's because they're vented through a glass ceiling, and so water has been coming in. So we're really looking at ways to see what we can do about that. And one of the solutions might be we're going to do a request for proposal and RFP to see what it would take to remove those fireplaces. And so we're going to be working on that. And then we'll keep the brick area, we'll get that painted, and then in the middle section, we'll probably put some greenery in there to create some nice seating area for the students. And we're going to be improving the seating area around those fire pits as well. If you've sat on those, it is concrete, and so we're going to put some padding, and it's a little low, so we're going to take care of that. Lori alluded to the work being done up in the president's office. If you haven't seen that, encourage you to swing by. We're creating a kind of a more open space, and so that Michelle and Lori can be close to each other. The other thing is the courtyards south of the gym, so the big courtyard. If you walk that way, or if you have an office near there, you know what happens when we get some snow, and you know what happens when we get a lot of rain, is water comes right into the building. And so we are going to be, Keith and his team are going to be building some vestibules out there to keep the water from coming into mainly comes in right through the doors there, even when they're locked tight. And then Lori also mentioned, and the board approved a project for the west boilers, which kind of essentially heats the west side of campus, so we're going to be doing that. We'll also be doing, just to give the board and the senior leadership team an idea of what it would cost to replace the carpet on campus. If you've walked around, you know that there are varying levels of quality on the carpet, various colors, it's all over the place, and also doing an RFP to see what it would cost to paint the exterior spaces, the public spaces of the campus as well. And we'll just get an idea of what that costs so that we can have it all. Those are things that were identified when we did the facility condition report, and so as we work on those, we can drive down some of the numbers that are in there. So that's just an update on what's going on with facilities.
Yes, kudos for facilities.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. Sorry I missed you. It's a good thing the bookstore carries Benadryl.
Matt can't be here today because he's talking to some people on the phone about the German-American partnership thing. He wanted to make sure that we sent kudos out to all of the maintenance crew that have worked so hard on the use of force simulator room. It's the first room down the stairs into the A1400 wing. Dave Damon has, how do I describe it? There's going to be like a simulator in there for the criminal justice classes, and specifically Adam Helgeson and Tim Berkshire, he's seen them working in there, but there have been a lot of people working really, really hard to make that happen for our students, so kudos to them.
Thank you.
And IT, sorry.
And then Matt also wanted to thank the Hort department for all of their hard work on the hydroponics lab lately. And then with facilities stuff going on, the Hort department has also been working around campus on things during work week. And one of those things is the water feature off of the employee lot. I don't know if anybody has noticed. All of our landscape and construction design students have been out there working on that. So thank you to them.
Great, thank you. So I wanted just to follow up too. Joanne was, I see she probably had to run to another meeting, but I wanted to, in a conversation this morning, she was talking about, most of you are aware that we've moved classes out of the A1200 and 1,300 classrooms for spring. We're going to try to start condensing the building, less to clean, good spaces for students. Some of the classes that we're still using are a little bit older. When you start to go down by the Hort area, there are some older classrooms, and there's going to be more students in those. So one of the projects that's going to happen is we're going to look at the furniture in the A1200 and 1300 rooms and technology, put in a work order, and make sure that the spaces that we're sending our students to with this modification and closing down those areas will have the best desks and the best technology that we have on our campus. But this will be a really good start because it's going to give us an opportunity to determine really how many classrooms do we need to start to remodel or enhance. I don't know if remodeling is the right word, but at least enhance them with the furniture and the technology that's in them. We will have approximately 39 classes that we're using in the spring. So that's still a lot, and that's just classrooms, that's not our labs. How many do we have on campus all total? 103 classrooms and labs. So we're going to be using at least 2/3 of them in the spring, but that's still a significant savings of how we can reduce and do some new sprucing up for our student spaces. Anybody else have any good news? Chase just told me this morning he's going to make sure he has something so that when I look at him, he's got something to say other than calling me a weather girl.
Well, a couple things I suppose I'll share. There's a few things that are kind of cooking in MSB that I don't really want to blow, kind of like the Cubs blew their game yesterday. But I'll share those things in November and December. But one thing I'd like to share is that on November 1st, which is college night, prior to the beginning of college night at 6 p.m., will be the EMSA, our Engineering, Math, and Science Academy's informational meeting from 6 to 6:30. If you know anyone in the community who's an academically talented junior or sometimes even sophomore who would like to get maybe a head start on an engineering track or a pre-professional track during their senior year of high school, please invite them to attend. We'll have a portal announcement up as well as a press release soon, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout to continue our program, which has been historical. And that's just what I wanted to thank you for spreading the word. So, go Nationals! Thank you.
Wow. He's brave. Anybody else? All right, well, it's 3:30. I want to thank everybody. I hope we do see some of you at the gala. It's a great event coming up, so if you haven't gotten your tickets or you need some friends to sit with, just go see Dr. Nicholas. He'd be happy to hook you up. So thank you. Thank you all.